So, what is the solution to the conflict between Palestine and the current Israeli government? This IDF soldier has some fantastic insights on that. Before I go on, remember that if you want to prepare for what's already going on all over the world and things to come, you want to get yourself street survival skills and surviving the economic collapse based on my experience in Argentina with the economic collapse over there, especially given everything going on right now, and street survival skills. These would be the skills you need to develop with graphic sketches, drawings, and illustrations that will help you learn valuable skills that you need right now. Let's listen to what he has to say and comment later.
My Special Forces Infantry unit went to the border. The entire night sky was lit up with explosions, deafening explosions, as the Air Force and the artillery bombarded the village. We were going into a small village with the purpose of identifying and demolishing a tunnel that was going into Israel. We were only a few kilometers in. We weren't very deep in. We were trying to secure an area for these engineers to demolish the tunnels. We pulled out, and right after we pulled out, the Air Force came and demolished, obliterated almost the entire neighborhood that we were in.
So you had your experience, Benzi, in 2014. This is going to be altogether of a different magnitude, more civilian deaths, more threats to Israeli soldiers.
I mean, it's already multiple orders of magnitude worse. I mean, you know, something like 3 times as many Palestinians have already been killed through these bombing campaigns as there were killed in the entire 2014 war. And we haven't even began the ground invasion. Hamas is stronger. That's just a fact. Hamas is stronger, even though we fought them, and I believed during that fighting and with our sacrifice and all the destruction that we wrought in Gaza that we had dealt them a decisive blow. But that was just not true.
Is it possible, do you think, to wipe out Hamas? The Israeli government has said after this appalling terror attack, we will wipe out Hamas. Is that possible?
I think the only way, I think this government is incapable of doing it unless there is a dramatic, axiomatic shift in our approach towards Palestinians. We approach towards Palestinians, they can just be controlled. We can just keep them indefinitely under military occupation, deny them rights, deny them freedoms, the same ones that we cherish for ourselves, they don't have. And it's not about security, it's about ideology. We're ideologically committed to controlling the entire land of Israel exclusively for the Jewish people. And
but there will be many Israelis who simply want revenge on Hamas for this hideous attack.
Yeah, that's something someone in the comments before, in the previous video, said, no, it's not an apartheid state. Yes, it is. It's Amnesty International saying that it is. And as the man just said, you have a state that has certain people. If you're Jewish, you have certain rights that the rest of the population simply does not have. That's basically the definition of an apartheid state, but a lot more to that.
That will only strengthen them, even if we dismantle and are able to defeat the physical terrorist organization Hamas. We will be strengthening the idea of violent resistance, because the only way to defeat the idea of violent resistance is to create an alternative and to work towards an alternative, one that our government is fundamentally opposed to. So this government can't defeat Hamas.
So he seems like a decent human being. His heart is in the right place, and this is coming from a guy that is actually there. He did these things, right? So it's even more important that I completely agree with everything that he's saying. If you don't give people an alternative of, this is the only way you will exist is under these conditions, and left with, what is your option? Violence is the only thing, because that's how you ended up living in this world. Well, unless you give people some other alternative, don't be surprised if you keep getting the same outcome.
I think it will, in effect, radicalize another generation of young Palestinians?
Of course. We're just killing them, and we don't provide any alternative. We're keeping them under a debilitating siege. They're running out of fuel. They're running out of drinking water. What do you think that, Hamas is a terrorist organization. They've already proven that they can murder babies, and we're saying it's on them to save the lives of the Palestinian infants in the NICU in the hospital. It's up to them. You think they care? They just murdered babies, and we're denying that we're creating this horrific human conditions. What do you think the people in Gaza are going to think about us after what we're doing now? We have to create an alternative. If we want to defeat Hamas, we have to turn the Palestinian public against them.
But how do you do that? In the light of the terror attack, how do you do that? What is the process? Where is the process that doesn't include Hamas? Where is the process?
Well, we have to stop forcibly expelling Palestinians from their homes in villages in throughout the West Bank. We have to crack down on settler violence, and we have to say out loud that we're committed towards a peaceful, negotiated solution with Palestinians in which they achieve freedom, achieve independence, and achieve the independence and rights that we cherish so dearly for ourselves.
What are your fears for the next few days and weeks?
You know, I fear for Palestinian civilians who are being relentlessly bombed. I fear for citizens of Israel who are vulnerable to escalations on multiple fronts because of this war. I feel for many friends and loved ones are
so important. I mean, the guy is this idea, and this is despicable. The idea of the lives of some are worth more than the lives of others. And, but you know what? It's still the enormous amount of the fatalities. It's people that had nothing to do with conflicts on either side. The great majority, by far, it's not even close. It's overwhelmingly innocent people on both sides that get slaughtered, right? It's not just men, women, children, all of them. Innocent people getting slaughtered is never good. There's no, the life of these guys are worth less than these other ones, especially when it comes to exclusively civilians that have no part in any of this.
This war, I feel for many friends and loved ones are...
Your brothers going in?
I hope not. But, obviously, the tragedy is that no matter what we do, we won't be able to defeat the idea that Hamas represents, the ideology that it represents of armed resistance, unless we try to create an alternative. And I really believe that this government is incapable of doing that.
Benzi.
He refers specifically to this government. It's not the entire country. It's not all people. No, it's this specific government right now that benefits from these conditions and has no intention in fixing anything because, as he so well explained, you're only making more of it. It's the Hamas as the idea of, armed resistance, blowing up the guys that are on the other side of the fence, and that's the only thing you've known your entire life. Growing up as a child, all you saw was getting freaking bombs all the time. How else would you think? What kind of mindset, what kind of hope for a better future do you have? And this guy is obviously the Israeli soldier. He's obviously a good person with a good heart because he constantly brings up, in spite of what the reporter from Sky News, which, by the way, look up who owns Sky News, look up what groups of energy companies belong to the same people that own Sky News and where those energy companies are operating. That will be quite revealing for you, and you will understand a lot better the editorial line. But in spite of the reporter from Sky News continuously trying to make a difference between, the life of these ones matter more, he says no, it's all of it. It's, terrible loss of life on both sides that is wrong. And it's not all of us, it's this current administration that wants this. Look, as some of you know, I lived for a while in Northern Ireland, which used to be quite conflicting. It was a very strange place in which you had Protestants and Catholics, basically in a similar situation of hatred. Till this day, there's peace walls in Northern Ireland separating Catholic neighborhoods from Protestant neighborhoods. But having lived there, and not only having lived there, having done a ton of research before living there, which is, the stuff that I do, the books I write, I do a lot of research for all of this stuff. So in this specific case, I did a lot of research before deciding to go to this place, which a lot of people were surprised by. You're going to Northern Ireland? It's a war zone. No, it's not. I did my research, and it's definitely not the case. But not only researching, but actually living there for a few years, I learned a thing or two. I am an Argentine Catholic. I was living in a Protestant neighborhood, and I got along perfectly well with my neighbors. I had kids coming over to our house all the time, and even got invited to things that were, the marches that were very anti-Catholic. And the neighbors were inviting my kids over, and it was they obviously did not understand what they were. It's like someone being invited to a Klans march when you're fucking black. It's kind of like the same situation. But my point is that I learned through experience that people people get along if you're not looking for conflict. And even people that are perpetrating and continuing with a legacy of hate, at times they don't even know they're doing that. Look, I was friends with a guy over there. We went hiking together and so on, and he was explaining to me, talking about the Troubles, that's how it's called in Northern Ireland, the Troubles. No, the thing is, Fernando, the Catholics are, they're a little bit more like hippies, more dirty, and they don't get along well, and that's the thing. And it was, I'm Catholic, right? No, but I'm not talking about you. It's these Catholics. It's like going to a black guy and saying, all blacks are like that, but it's not you. You're different. You're a different black guy. It's like that bit from Bill Burr that says, fucked up conversation, referring to one group of people. Yeah, that kind of thing. And because I had done my research and I knew what I was talking about, I told him, but you do know that Catholics are less likely to be in government aid, in government housing. Catholics make more money here, and Catholics have actually better education, better schools than the Protestants. And he was like, he obviously didn't know that, or he hadn't researched, he hadn't read about it. He moved within his circle of, Catholics are just horrible and that's it. And even when I was telling him, which was all true, by the way, this is exactly how it is, he just insisted on the idea, but Catholics are, they're a little bit more artsy and lazy, and he would not let go of his preconceived ideas of what a Catholic in Northern Ireland or anywhere else is supposed to be. So I see something similar here. Look, there's no other way out of this. You have like 4 or 5 million Palestinians living in what's currently the state of Israel. It was originally their homeland, this place. Going back and looking to the past rarely fixes anything. You have to acknowledge the reality as of right now and find a solution to what you have right now. All right? In the case of Northern Ireland, in spite of all the problems, and yes, of course, it did help that the IRA started operating in the middle of fucking London. And that was a point in which, we have to find a solution to this because we cannot keep this up, blowing up the banking district every few days. So, that was how it was, pushed towards finding a solution. And the solution was we all have to learn to get along in spite of the peace walls. And I will also say that the great majority of people in Northern Ireland, and I'm sure it's the case for the great majority of people in Israel, the great majority of people in Palestine, Gaza, and West Bank, most people just want to live in peace and be left the fuck alone by the government and go on with their lives. Do business, have their families, not get blown up, not get shot, not get attacked, and just mind their business. That's a universal law for the great majority of people. It is only certain people in certain positions of power that want to continue in those positions and making even more money, that they benefit from polarizing and pitting people ones against the others. Catholics and Protestants. In this case, it's Palestinians and Israelis that they want to do the same thing with. There's no solution in this way. They're only, as the man so well said, you only make more of it because it's an ideology. It's not as if you can go at, we're going to be getting rid of the Hamas people. Well, you have more. The ones that did not get blown to pieces, an important number of them will become Hamas when the time comes. So you're just making more of what you're trying to stop, and they know this. They know this perfectly well. The only solution, historically speaking, if we learn from our events, is you need to have people living in peace and enjoying the same rights. You cannot have an apartheid state. You cannot have this segregation. You cannot have people with less rights than the others, and especially not to this point of being submitted in such a way. Imagine if in the United States the reservations for the Native Americans, right? Well, yeah, this is a piece of land we leave you, but you also enjoy no rights. It would be unthinkable. Right now, a Native American in the United States having less rights than any other American, the idea itself is appalling. You would not conceive that as reasonable as anything other than evil. And yet, this is the way in which some people in the current administration in Israel believe the solution will come. Of course, they know that's not the case, and they apparently don't seem to care one bit because it's probably being very beneficial for them. Guys, that's my take on what is the solution. I happen to agree with this fine gentleman that you see here on the screen. Let me know what you think in the comments below in a respectful manner, and please, for those that are operating, try to change the different screen names. If you're all having the same names with a different number, that kind of is a pretty big tell. Okay, guys, it's going to be all for now. See you on the next video. Take care.